Yo, what's going on? My man Alejandro was not ready for the camera to turn on. It's all good. So, guys, we are back here for another episode of the Think Big podcast. We're tuning in live. Some of us are hanging out here in Arizona. Me and Daryl are at the Mindset Man, and we got Sam Singh out of California, and we got Alejandro out of Texas. And you guys already know this is our favorite day of the week because it's the time that the four horsemen get to come together and we get to talk about everything from business, real estate, finance, personal development. We're covering the whole gambit. I mean, last week, if y'all were here, Daryl broke down an entire masterclass, on sales. And some people, it's funny. Some people have been asking, where's last week's episode? We told you, this is why you have to be here live. After last week's episode, after Daryl started realizing like he was just pouring out all the sauce, we are like, bro, you low-key just gave away like what people pay you thousands of dollars to learn from you on YouTube for free. You cannot keep that out. Like we made him take it down because at that point it was just like unfair to his clients who come to him and they spend a lot of money to get that knowledge and get that information. So this is why you need to be here live. So like right now I'm streaming on Instagram. If you guys are just hanging out on Instagram, do yourself a favor, comment the word podcast. I will send you that direct link to this podcast episode. But tonight we're going to be talking, this is Talk Shop Tuesday. So we're going to be talking about quite a few things. Tonight I want to cover really first and foremost something I covered this morning. I did a sales training this morning for our real estate community. Had about 138 people on a Zoom call at 5 a.m. 5 a.m. Arizona time, my time, 5 a.m. Had 138 people on a call with me for 2 hours. And I was breaking down one of the most important aspects of having a business, which is having a business plan, knowing what you're actually doing. See, a lot of people find it hard to stay committed. You're finding it hard to stay focused. You're finding it hard to really ride the path. And the reason you're finding that so difficult is because you don't have a plan. You're not executing on a plan. So today we're going to be going in on a plan. And then I don't want to spend the whole day talking about that because, I covered it for 2 hours this morning. So we're going to do a 20-minute recap for you guys because it is important. But ultimately, after that, I want to bring the conversation over to an important conversation on the mindset that we need to develop. And I'm going to be specifically talking to the men today. I told Daryl, I was like, yo, bro, Daryl, like, I got some stuff on my chest that we need to get off. We need to be talking to the dudes today because I'm finding a lot of guys right now are struggling in the space. They're struggling with themselves. They're struggling with this concept of masculinity and toxic masculinity and all of this garbage, because that's what it is. Like all these labels are creating a whole lot of snowflakes. And that's what I'm going to call people tonight. I'm going to call some people some snowflakes. And I'm saying this out of love because I want to get us to that place of producing results and changing our life. So before I jump into it, I'm going to see if my brothers Daryl, Sam, Alejandro, you guys have anything you want to add, anything you want to say before I jump into it? Because tonight it's going to be like a two-parter in one night.
Bro, I'm here to hear you spit, bro. I got my notepad ready and I'm ready to listen.
Yo, let's go.
I don't got nothing.
I'm going to say this, man. Marlon, I was at your hacking the mindset webinar, right? And what I quickly realized, a lot of things that we were talking about that day, a lot of people need to hear this. And like, I have an inkling, I have an idea of where you're going to go with things tonight, but I'm excited because, and especially now the fact that we're going to tailor it to the guys, to the men. We're going to help men become men again. Ooh, we touched on that a few weeks ago. That was one of the most fire episodes we've ever done. So I'm excited, man. I'm here to learn.
Yo, 100%. It absolutely was. I mean, like I got people that were reaching out for days after that one, just saying like, yo, thank you. I had one, funny enough, I thought it was going to be more men responding. I got a lot of women that were responding saying, thank you. I needed to show this to my husband. I needed to show this to my man. And I was like, yo, you know what? I'm happy for that because listen, fellas, trust me when I say you'd rather hear things from another guy than to hear your woman have to tell you how to be a man. Right? And I'm not saying that I'm the perfect man by any means. In fact, I claim to never be a perfect man. However, I am a progressing man. Right? We are constantly getting better. So if y'all are ready for it, we're going to jump into the first piece. And this first piece is going to be nice and tame. This is going to be something that if you are in business, in fact, if you're watching, we got about 15 people on YouTube right now. If you guys are watching this and you have a business, do me a favor, comment what your business is inside of the chat. I want to know what sort of business entrepreneurs we have in here. Are you wholesalers? Are you real estate investors? Do you have buying homes? Do you do short-term rentals, mid-term rentals? Do you do renovations? Are you a realtor? Are you not even in wholesale? Are you a marketer? Like, what do you do for business? And again, if you're hanging out on Instagram, comment the word podcast. Come hang over on the YouTube channel with us. Engage in the comment section. It's way more active over here. So I want to see what sort of comments we're getting back. I want to see what sort of business. I see wholesaler. Right. So far, I'm seeing one answer, guys. Like, yo, I need some engagement. I do not want you being a fly on the wall today. I want you to engage. I want you, the more you give, the more you're going to get out of this business, the more you're going to get out of this. So I'm going to share my screen because I can finally do that tonight. Yeah, I love it. Joey says he's a private chef. Shout out to Joey. Absolutely crushing it in the real estate space. He's also a buy and hold investor. Rhea says sub 2 team Arch. I love it. Quay says wholesaler. Hopefully I'm pronouncing your name, by the way, bro, because you've been showing up for every episode and you've been crushing it in the comment section.
I'll be Q, man. Q.
We're calling him Q. We're calling him Q. He said Q Jones. All right, so check this out. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about, regardless of what business you're in, we need to build a business plan. You need to have a business plan. So I'm going to talk about what was taught to me. This was taught to me by my very first real estate mentor, and it's called the Circle of Wealth business plan. The Circle of Wealth business plan. I went over this for 2 hours this morning, and people were like, holy crap, their minds were blown. So I'm going to share my screen here. And can you guys see this whiteboard, this beautiful whiteboard that I got here?
Yes, sir.
Let's go. We finally got the whiteboard up. All right. So I've been waiting for this. I've been waiting for this day like for the last couple of weeks. All right. So I'm going to draw something out for y'all. Here's what I need you to do. If you are watching, please pull out your notebook, stop driving, pull over on the highway, do whatever you need to do, and you're going to draw this along with me. Because you want to know how you remember things, you want to know how you get information in you, is when you engage with it. So I'm going to draw this circle. I want you all to draw this with you. Now, my circle is not going to be the prettiest circle, Sam, because I'm not doing this on an iPad. I'm doing this on my good old MacBook.
I was going to say, man, the circle's a little rough, dude.
Yeah, it's kind of rough, man. I gotta upgrade to that iPad life like my man Alejandro. But essentially, we got this circle. Now, this is not a peace sign. This is our circle of wealth, right? And what we need to understand is I'm going to put some labels inside here, and I want you guys, I'm going to abbreviate, but you guys are going to write it out so you know what it's for. So the first part we're going to put inside here is the E, right? That E stands for earned. Next part we're going to put inside here is a P. That P stands for passive. And then down below, we're going to put one more P. This other P is for portfolio. So we got earned, we've got passive, and we got portfolio. You guys are going to write that in on your own. I'm going to abbreviate because I'm working with a mouse and a trackpad. So I'm going to do my best. Now, before we even start to fill in the inside of this and we start to talk about what this is, I need you guys to write something on the outside of your circles because this is going to be the foundation of everything to come. Write this. We buy and sell to create cash. We buy and sell to create cash. That's going to be on the outside of the earned portion of this circle of wealth. On the right side of this portion, we're going to write this down. We buy and hold to build wealth. I want us to understand what's going on here. Right? We buy and sell to create cash so that we can buy and hold to build wealth. A lot of times we don't understand this, and I've seen people get into trouble because they try to skip this most basic first step in our business plan. In our business plan, we have to recognize that we have to figure out what is our earned income strategy. What is it that we do to earn income? We always talk about wanting to create cash flow for ourselves. And we're talking about buying assets. Well, let me tell you what the best first asset that you have is. That best first asset that you have is yourself. You are asset number one. You are the goose that lays the golden egg. So we need to be asking, what is asset number one producing? What is asset number one earning? Now, inside real estate, earlier I saw the answers that a lot of people said they're in real estate. So let me ask you this question. I'm going to throw it out to Daryl. I'm going to throw it out to Sam. What are some of the earned income strategies inside of real estate? Like, what are ways to earn capital inside of real estate?
I'll start macro, and then Daryl, you can probably go into some of the smaller ones. But in real estate, we have the big three, right? Real estate is comprised of three main ways to make money. And amongst those three, there's smaller ways to make money. There's buy and hold rentals, right? That is largely passive. Then there's wholesale, which is the flipping of contracts. And then there's fix and flip, which is buy a property, fix it up, resell it. These are the big three of real estate. And out of these three, the two that are considered largely active or completely active are the last two, wholesale and fix and flip.
Yo, Sam, this is why I freaking love you, bro, because you are absolutely right. So we've got, essentially, when we're looking at the earn side, we got the wholesale. I'm going to put it over here on the earn side, and we got the fix and flip, right? And recognizing that these are earned. What does earned mean? Right? Earned means very simply, if I stop doing it, I stop making money. If I stop wholesaling, if I stop getting contracts, I stop making money. If I stop renovating homes, I stop making money. And you guys can also put in things like here, like if you're a real estate agent, you can add that. You could also put, some of you, like I was talking about Joey earlier this morning. Joey has an amazing job. He's a private chef. He was able to earn, and he's okay with me sharing this, I hope, because I'm going to say it out loud. He was able to earn well over $200,000 last year as a private chef. So he has a strong earned income source. There's a place where money comes into him. We have to identify what our earned income strategies are.
Wait, real quick. So Joey is a professional chef who makes multiple six figures a year just in being a chef. And on top of that, he's doing real estate.
He's crushing it in real estate.
Dude, none of us have a chance with women if Joey's in the circle. He can cook professionally, kills it at that. Now he's killing it in this. We're done.
Bro, and he's handsome. He's handsome.
And he's handsome. Okay, I give
him.
He's
got like this beautiful freaking beard. Like it's just, it's honestly, it's unfair. I'm glad he's in a different state because I'm dating right now, and like I wouldn't be able to go out with him and like go and bag. Like I wouldn't be able to, like, luckily he's married, he's got kids, so he's locked away. Right? But like this is what happens. We have to identify what are our earned income strategies. Because read this, we buy and sell to create cash so that we can buy and hold to build wealth. Now, we all own properties. Can I ask you guys a very stupid question? Does it cost money to own properties? Right? Like, do you need to have money in a war chest to be able to hold on to your assets?
Indeed.
Right? You have to. I want to like give people this heads up because sometimes we think, well, I can just go and acquire properties. You're absolutely right. In a perfect world where rainstorms don't happen and the winds never blow and you never get a flat tire, you can just jump into holding properties right away because your tenants are just always going to pay you on time and the water heater is never going to break and property taxes are never going to go up after you acquired a property subject to or seller financing and you pay over market ass so the new appraisal kicks in. Like there's a lot of things people don't think about. But if they follow this formula, they don't have to worry as much. So when we're looking at holding on to properties, when we're looking at holding on to wealth, understand we want to also be able to have a war chest in our back pocket so that, God forbid, if anything ever occurred, you're not freaking out and having to liquidate. Because everybody that buys properties, remember one thing, who are you buying properties from? You're buying properties from typically tired landlords who no longer have the liquid funds available to take care of the problems that may or may not come up. That's why they're liquidating, is because they don't have the additional disposable income. So before we skip over into part two, because a lot of people come to me and they're struggling because they're trying to take on part two of their business plan without having first established part one, which is creating an earned income stream. You could do it through wholesale, you could do it through fix and flip, And I'm going to add this inside here. It's not a popular one, but I'm going to put it here because it's just the truth. If some of you have a good W-2 that you actually like, that's actually serving you, you can keep your W-2. You don't need to throw that away. You don't actually need to throw that away. If you're recognizing what it's for, if you're using it as a tool to get you to the next stage. Because ultimately, when you go and you create a wholesale business and you go and create a fix and flip business, you are creating, in essence, for yourself, another job. The only difference is you got to add all the other moving parts. So I have to be crystal clear about this, because sometimes we are trying to trade one job for another job and we take too many things on our plate and we're not sure where we are in the sequence of our business. And we're not sure where we are in the sequence of our business plan. So if this is so far clear to you guys, I'm going to keep moving on. But I really need everyone to understand this piece, that our earned income needs to be established first. I'm going to give you a little bit of advice right now. I know you didn't ask for this advice, but you're on the Think Big podcast, so you're going to get it anyway. Establish in your mind and on paper a number that you need to acquire, a number that you need to hit. See, sometimes I see people say, well, I just want to do 3 deals and then I'm going to buy the 4th deal. Yeah, but what if your 3 deals net you a total of $1,500, $1,500? That's all you made. It was $500 wholesales. Do those happen? Yes, they happen. So your 3 deals don't mean anything. Instead, what I want to hear you say is, look, from my earned income side, I want to create a war chest of $50,000, $100,000, $150,000. I want to have a liquid amount of capital readily available so that I can go to battle. I want to have that sitting and ready to go. Once you establish that number, then if you're not at that number, guess where you should be in your business plan? You should be on the earned income side. You should be beating your butt up to build your business, to go and transact and do deals to make money. If you're already coming into the game and you already have that runway, you already have that war chest ready, then you're ready for part 2, which is we buy and hold to build wealth. So, Sam, you said it earlier. You labeled one of the first essential pieces of the buy and hold, which is, buy and holding. It's long-term rentals, right? That's the first way. What are some other passive income strategies inside of real estate? Like, could you guys throw out some other passive income strategies for me?
Yeah, one of the biggest ones, one of my favorite ones, is really good for people who are in this specific season of their life, and that's lending.
We're going to get to that one. So that's actually going to come down in portfolio. And guys, Sam and Daryl don't know about this circle of mine. So they're going to be throwing out some answers and I'm going to be placing them in different sequences. But I'm going to put that down right here, lending, right? PML, private money lending. What other passive strategies do we have?
On the buy and hold side?
Buying notes.
We got
creating notes.
So we got buying notes. So I'll actually put that on that's going to go into portfolio as well. We'll get to those actually. Give me some passive income from a real estate standpoint. I'm going to give you guys a little hint with this one. Short-term rentals, right? So that
I was going to say short-term rental, but that is pretty active as well. It could be very active.
Okay. So in the realm of buy and hold, right? So underneath buy and hold, there's different types of rentals, right? Short-term rental is one of them. Now, Alejandro's point, short-term rental is pretty active, right? But if you've got a good operating partner or manager in it, then you as the owner can be hands-off, right? And then it can become that.
And the way I'm going to explain this, when we look at passive income, the way I want our minds to think about this so that we could, because Alejandro's absolutely right. Like holding properties is also going to be a job. We have to learn about how to handle and hold assets, right? So there's asset management involved. Understanding it from this standpoint, what sort of work can I do where I potentially do the work once of doing the deal once, and the deal continues to pay me over and over and over and over and over again. When I wholesale, I get paid one time. When I fix it, I get paid one time. When I go to my job, I get paid every 2 weeks. But if I don't show up again, if I don't show up for another 2 weeks, I don't get paid again. When I buy a buy and hold, when I buy a short-term rental, when I buy a midterm rental, when I buy a mobile home or a mobile home park or a commercial property, The nice part here is if I don't go out and acquire any new projects, I will still be able to, if I'm running it and managing it properly, I'll still be able to collect income month after month after month after month in an ideal situation. So those are the ones I want to start to identify. So we're going to look at things like short-term rentals. We're going to look at things like midterm rentals. We're going to look at things like commercial real estate. And we're going to look at things like mobile homes and mobile home parks, right? Not saying that we need to do all of these by any means, just identifying what some of them are out there for us. So I'm going to actually move these into our, what we're going to refer to as our passive, right? These are going to be some of our passive income strategies. Right now, to Alejandro and Sam's point, there is still work to be done. They're still setting up systems. They're still making sure that you have property management and all that good stuff in place. However, if you do this business properly, you're going to put the right people, systems, and teams in place. And yes, it will have a cost. However, if you're getting in deep enough, if you're buying deep enough, and sometimes we don't always buy deep enough, in which case we shouldn't be buying at that. If there's not enough cash flow in the deal to support the systems, to support your team, then it's not the deal for you. Does that make sense to everybody? Hopefully you guys are dialed in with this and this is clicking. So
yep, absolutely.
We buy and sell to create cash so that we can buy and hold to build wealth. Because let me ask a stupid question. Alejandro, Daryl, and Sam, have you guys ever owned a property that maybe didn't turn on right away, that maybe the cash flow didn't just initially start on the first day you purchased it, and you had to have something called holding costs that needed to come out of your pocket, that you had to have cash ready to take care of that holding cost?
Every single time.
Don't remind me, bro.
It happens, right? I explained to a group this morning, thank God last year I was doing a good amount of fix and flips, that this year when the market shifted and we were in the middle of some projects, we had funds in our own personal account, not money we needed to go borrow. We had funds in our own personal account to withstand the shift in the economy so that we weren't in a forced liquidation event. Because a lot of people got forced into a liquidation event. A lot of fix and flippers, a lot of people who had properties last year were forced to liquidate at a loss because they did not have the additional capital to hold on to their properties. You as an intelligent investor, you don't want to put yourself in that situation. The way to avoid that, you buy and sell to create cash. You create that war chest so that you can come over here, you can buy and hold to build wealth. So this is your part 2 of your business plan. Now, as you start to acquire wealth, as this starts to fill up, I'm going to draw a quick little picture. And this was taught to me by my second real estate mentor, right? Shout out to P. Morbs. So this was taught to me one night over dinner. He says, so this is Pace. I'm hanging out with Pace about 1.5 years ago. And he says to me, yo, Marlon, how many things do I do? I'm like, okay, well, you got this business, you got this business, you do this, you do this, you do this, you do this, you do this. So I'm naming like 12 things. He's like, wrong. He says, I do one thing. This is 1.5 years ago, so things may be different now, but as of 1.5 years ago, he says, I do one thing. He says, I wholesale real estate. That's my active income. That's my earned income. See, he had one bucket that was his main focus. He said, this is where my attention goes. This is where I have meetings. This is where my input is. This is my job. I am an owner operator in this box, because he understands it's hard to be an owner operator in multiple things. You could be an owner of multiple things, but to operate, to pour yourself onto one thing, he understands the power of focus. So he says, look, I've got this well, right? And he says, I'm here and I pump this well all day long so that it spills out water. And he says, I've got this cup, right? And this is my wholesale business. And he says, all day long, I'm just pumping this well all day long until my cup starts to get filled up, right? And he says, eventually my cup gets filled up to the point where we have what you refer to as overflow. This is knowing what your number is. You can't have overflow if you don't know what your number is. So if your number is $100,000 and you're now making $110,000, guess what? You have $10,000 of overflow. So he says, I build up this bucket until it starts to overflow. And then he says, peep this, Marlon. Instead of just letting that overflow get wasted or blowing it on dumb stuff like cars, he says, I take my overflow and I invest it into my buy and hold opportunities. I invest it into buying assets, buying things like short-term rentals and mid-term rentals and all these other projects. And I said, but Pace, wait, don't you borrow money to do that? He says, well, of course I do. He says, well, bro, what happens if a lender wants to back out and I can't get a new lender in that situation? What happens if I find a home run of a deal and the lenders are going to move too slow? What happens then? He says, I never want to be put in a situation where I can't move on a good deal because I'm waiting for some uneducated individual or someone who's a knuckle dragger to make a decision. He says, so I want to make sure I have my own capital ready to invest. And if I need to refinance myself out with private money, sure, I would do that. But he makes sure that he has his war chest ready so he can get into these deals and not only get into them, but stay into them until they're profitable. So he lets the overflow begin to fill these buckets up. Now, here's the cool thing about these buckets. These buckets start getting filled up with the overflow, but by nature of them being assets, cash flowing assets, they also in themselves begin to fill themselves up. It's like an air mattress that has its own little electronic pump that fills itself up. These are like little air mattresses that start to fill themselves up. And so then as these start to fill themselves up, and this is essentially like his creative finance deals, and these are some of his buy and holds, his short-term rentals. What begins to happen here? He says, this is where most people stop, Marlon. Right, Daryl, he'll say most people will stop right here. But he says, I let these overflow as well. And as these overflow, guess what I do? I've got more buckets down here. I go and I use the overflow to purchase more projects, more deals, more assets. And then from these assets, he has one final bucket down here, right? Because this row, by the way, this row looks like this. It's not this. This row looks like this. Homeboy lets a lot of these come in. This is what that fourth row or that third row looks like for him. It's just layered across.
And he just went to Home Depot and bought all the Home Depot orange buckets. He just bought all of them.
It's freaking insane. Also, guys, if you're on Instagram, I'm telling you, come over to the YouTube channel. I'm sharing my screen. We're talking some high-level stuff. Comment the word podcast so you can be here. That's the last time I'm telling you guys. Read the post, comment podcast, come to the YouTube channel. So as these buckets are down here and these start to overflow, because again, these are assets, so they're filling themselves up and they're getting the overflow from up top. They start to go into what is referred to as the fuck it bucket. The fuck it bucket. You guys ever heard of that bucket?
It's my favorite bucket.
Yo, so that
I think I need a new bucket now. I think I need to go buy that bucket.
Bro, this bucket is what lets you do whatever you want. This is the bucket where you go to Hawaii for a month. This is the bucket where you buy your mom a house. This is the bucket where you go and you rent out Chuck E. Cheese's for your kid. Like, this is the bucket where you just do dumb stuff. You can do whatever you want with this bucket because at this point, your money is working for you, is now allowing you to live how you want without having concern. Sometimes we start stealing from ourselves because we start pumping this well, and this is the bucket we use to start living with. This is not the bucket we should be living with. We should not be living off of our earned income bucket. Our earned income should be buying assets. Our assets should be buying more assets. Those more assets should be paying for our life. This is our business plan. Now, earlier, I added an extra P down here. So we had earned income, we had passive income, we had portfolio income. Now, portfolio income is where my man Sam and Alejandro and Daryl were talking about when they said lending money, right? Private money lenders. Or things like buying notes. Because look at this for a second. Let's move this over here. When I look at my portfolio, understand I'm working my butt off. I'm trading sweat equity to produce cash. I'm buying and selling things. Everything is buy low, sell high. I don't care what business you're in. It's buy low, sell high. Real estate, coaching, property management. If you're a plumber, right, you went and you learned skills. You paid to go to plumbing school. You learned skills and you paid X amount of dollars for it. And then you're charging a premium on it to the marketplace when you come and you serve people's houses. Everything is buy low, sell high. Understand that the faster you can get that in your head, the faster your business is moving in the right direction. From there, you're buying and you're holding on to things. The wealthiest individuals, Warren Buffett will show you this, they do not sell. They do not sell their assets. They sell products. They create businesses that sell products to consumers. But then when they purchase assets, they don't let go of assets ever. It costs money to hold on to these assets through ups and downs in the market. And now as these assets produce money for them, recognize this. If this money is paying for these, and this starts to produce money that can essentially go into your effort bucket, what about the money that you're not spending? It's like, all right, Marlon, I did all the dumb stuff. I went to Chuck E. Cheese's. I did all that stuff, but I still have more money than I can spend. Awesome. Now we get to the best part of all businesses, which is where they should all end up. You become the bank. You start to move your money to the portfolio side of things. This is where you start lending money. This is where you start buying notes. This is where you start becoming the bank. You put your money, you put your physical money. Your money now goes to work. So if I were going to write anything here, I'm going to write this phrase, and I want you all to write this down. Money making money. That's what this is. This is money making money. Again, this was taught to me by my very first mentor, and this has been the framework I've been running my business with. This is how I've been thinking as I go and I build my business and I build my empire. It's with this circle of wealth business plan. I wanted to make it so freaking easy for people to understand, Sam, because I've been talking to people and they're like, man, like after 2020 and 2021 and like after last year and like the market was up and now it's down and like I feel so lost. I don't know what to do. Right? They're like, I'm so freaking confused because last year I was doing this and now this isn't working. And I'm just like, all right, well, let's back off for a second. First question is, what's your earned income strategy? Because let me identify this. When this is turned on, it never turns off. I know it's this big fantasy that we're just all going to get super ball out rich, buy 200 units, and then lay on the beach for the rest of our life. That's not real. Stop chasing that fantasy. It's a stupid fantasy to go after. Right? You're always going to be working. The question is, what do you want to do? What sort of work do you want to do? Not do you want to work or not. It's what work do you want to do? A man that's not working is useless, in my opinion. Right? Like that's a useless man to society. And I've been that useless man, by the way. That's why I get to call him out on that crap. If you're sitting around and you're not contributing and you're not working, get the hell out of here. Like, don't even tune into the, or matter of fact, you do need to tune into the show. Tune into the show even more. Because we need to work. So your earned income, if this isn't established, stop looking at this and stop looking at this. Come back over here. Now, if you've already earned and you hit your number, whatever that number is for you, whatever your runway number is so that your airplane can take off, now you're going to be over here in the passive side. You need to start acquiring assets. This is the game of Monopoly. This is the game of Monopoly. Guys, what did we have to do in the beginning of Monopoly? You had to circle the board a couple times. You had to work your way around the board to get those little $200 to stack up to a point where you could start buying and holding property. Then you can start doing crazy stuff like lending and making up your own rules. So this is our business plan. Is this crystal clear to everybody? Did I make sense? So I'm going to close this one out. I'm good to close this off. Like if y'all need to take a screenshot of this, I recommend taking a screenshot of it right now because it's coming up.
I want to say this, man. The reality is one of the reasons why people, they fail in this industry is because they hear about these things, right? You hear about wholesale, you hear about innovations and fix and flips and wraps and short-term rental, mid-term rental, and insurance rental. Now we're doing group homes and sober living and assisted living, and now we're doing lending and note investing and gator lending. And The reality is this. I love that you broke it down the way that you did, because you help people understand that, one, there are compartments and they have their own purposes. So if you're in a stage right now in your life where you need to pay bills, buying and holding is not your focus. It should not be your focus. If you're trying to work yourself out of a W-2, the reality is you need to work yourself out of a W-2 and more into a self-employment role, probably as a wholesaler. And that'll allow you to remove your 5K a month in W-2 income, turn that into 10K a month, 15, 20K a month in wholesale income, which gives you breathing room. And then you can enter the next chapter. And I love that you broke it down that way, because it helps people understand that there are seasons, and what the avenue you choose should be directly corresponding to the season that you're in right now. Love it. Love the focus there, man. That was great.
I just want to really quick, bring to light the gratitude of being around you guys, man. You guys are very smart individual. But a few years ago, I would sit here, with 3 friends, but instead we were talking about alcohol, video games, and women. And here I am, we're talking about real estate and how to build wealth, with the magical artwork from Marlon himself. And man, I just want to say I'm grateful for you guys, man. This is really awesome. Thank you, Marlon. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Daryl.
Bro, I'm grateful for you guys. And, I agree. These are some different higher level conversations. And I got to be honest with, I want to kind of have a moment here where, this show, right, this podcast, a big part of it is to bring value to the community. But I got to say, selfishly, these conversations, it helps me to hold myself accountable to the information that's inside my own head, inside my own mind. When I start coming on here and I start getting passionate and I start talking about these particular topics, it forces me to want to live in, and not even just want to, but actually take action towards living in deeper alignment with these words. My first mentor taught this stuff to me 2.5, 3 years ago. October of 2019 was the first time that was ever shown to me. I remember it because it was so life-changing. October 2019 in Times Square in New York City. That was shown to me. And it's a little over 3 years later, and I'm still uncovering the wisdom in it. I'm still seeing my life change because of it. I'm still getting myself to adapt to it. So give yourself a little bit of grace as well, y'all. And I'm talking to the people in the audience. If you're like, man, I've been screwing up. I haven't been getting there yet. Awesome. Congratulations. That's in the past. Get over it now. Get over yourself and start moving forward in a new direction. Start really focusing and asking yourself, what type of man do I want to be going forward? Do I want to be the man that is happy to be accepted by everyone because we have this culture of, everybody gets a silver star for having participated and showing up? Or do I want to be the man that earn my spot at the table? Because I saw what needed to be done and I got it done. Right, Sam, you said something that, it reminded me of when we had dinner with Logan, when we went to the steakhouse with Logan about a year ago. And we sat down, and Logan said one of the most impactful things to us that night. At least I found it to be so impactful, which is what you just said, the seasons. He said he's in a different season of his life right now. That the season that he's in requires him to be a different man than he's been up until this point. And I thought, wow, how many of us are trying to enter a new season as the same old version? How many of us are trying to bring the old us into the new room? Why? Why are we doing that? It's time to level up. It's time to upgrade.
I really want to say this is really important. The very first time Logan and I spent quality time together in person, he flew out to Fresno, California, where I live. And we went to a restaurant. It was a Brazilian steakhouse that time. We went the next day to a steakhouse. And literally within the first 5 minutes of sitting down with him, he literally told me, it is important for you to understand what season you're in. And before he told me that, I had never heard anyone talk about that. I'd never heard anybody say that. and he helped me understand what season that I was in and what it would take for me to elevate to the next season. And then one thing that he does that's really important, and he helps me kind of stay centered in this, guys, we all look up to certain people greatly, people that we admire, that we respect, that are our role models, right? And then sometimes I do this a lot, and he helps me stay grounded in remembering that what got Hormozi to the season that he's in, right? If I'm right here in the season that I'm in, and I'm comparing myself and trying to take the actions that Hormozi's taking in the seasons that he's in, I will fail, because we are in different seasons. If I want to be more like him, it would be unfair for me, one, to even compare, but two, for me to compare myself when we're in totally different seasons of life. And then Logan tells me, Sam, what was Hormozi doing in his mid-20s when he was your age? His life didn't look like what it looked like right now. The season he's in is a result of the actions he took in the seasons that he was in at that time. Understand where you're at, have clarity in it. Because a lot of people, we want financial freedom, we want, time freedom, we want all these amazing things in life. What you said, Marlon, how it would be asinine for us to think that we can enter a new season in life without leaving behind the old season, trying to carry an identity forward that we've had latched on for so long. Hormozi said this, when you climb a mountain, what happens to the air? It gets thinner. It gets thinner. In order to elevate, your lungs have to acclimate to thinner air. Fewer and fewer people can breathe the air up there. And guess what? The you today can't handle the air at the top of the mountain right now. You need to work on your lungs. You need to leave the person behind that you are right now to become the person that you will be later on. So, Marlon, I just wanted to hit on that, man. And it's so funny. Freaking Logan. Hope he's watching this right now, because he's over here inspiring a bunch of people. Love it.
100%. And, in spirit of Logan, and I want to get to some of the questions I see in the chat, but in spirit of Logan, I want to say this to the people that are listening. You want to grow your business? You want to get your business to the next level? You need to get yourself to the next level. Right? If I'm talking to a young man right now, if I'm talking to an older man right now, and you're out of shape, you need to get your ass in shape. You need to start working out. You need to start taking care of your body. The reason your movements and your reactions and your results have been so lazy is because you've been lazy. Your body is a direct reflection of this. You are not going to have a strong business and a strong empire with a weak body and a weak mind. Your body is a reflection of your mind. You need to get your ass back in shape. You need to become capable. You need to be strong. How else are you going to lead your family? And my women out there too, the women have been crushing it recently. The women have been crushing it. At least the women that are in my life, they have been crushing it. I want to see the fellas start to step their game up. You need to be watching what you're eating. None of that BS, I'm young, I can eat whatever I want. I can go fry up bacon and then cook 12 eggs in bacon grease afterwards and eat all that garbage. You need to be counting your macros. You need to be all of it. You got to eat. Like me and Daryl, we're in the house and we are constantly measuring what we're eating. We're constantly measuring what we're consuming.
Is Daryl, is that an 8-pack, bro? I saw him with an 8-pack. Was it an 8-pack or 6-pack?
Quattro.
Okay.
Daryl, low-key, shout out to Daryl real quick, because Daryl dropped I think maybe over almost 30 pounds since you got to Arizona.
More than that, bro. I was 240 when I stepped off the plane, dog. 185 now.
240 down to 185. And let me ask, have you made more money since?
Way more money. Way more money.
Like, it is not a correlation. Y'all already know Alejandro has gone through 75 hard. That man is consistent. When he's traveling, he doesn't miss workouts. Our man Sam used to be the D1 tennis champion of the world. Y'all didn't even know. Like, if we go, I'm not even going to say what I was about to say, but we stay in shape, keeping the body physically strong, watching what you're eating, watching who you're spending time with. Stop making excuses for your shit friends.
And I want to hit on this. It's so funny, guys. So for those of you who don't know, I was a collegiate athlete, played ball in college, and then I was in another field after in work that was extremely physically demanding. So I was in amazing shape then. And I got into entrepreneurship and I lagged. Honestly, guys, I was like, I'm sitting at home. Like, why the hell do I care? I'm going to get the work done. And then I had a tremendous amount of success. I'm doing really well in life, monetarily. Well, now I'm getting to the point where I have to travel a ton. My guys know how much I travel. Like Marlon, when I was with you in Phoenix. Then I went to basically another freaking country, did a bunch of speaking things there. Then I came back and hung out with you in America. Then we went to 4 different places in America. And then I kept traveling. And now I'm even on a crazier work schedule where now I'm not just traveling. I'm the one traveling to speak on a stage and to perform in front of 100 people. And guess what happens, guys? When you have a business and then you have travel and then you have branding and you have to put forward energy and effort into all of these things, it takes a massive toll on your body. And over the last year, my health has suffered because I've been neglecting it. So to Marlon's point, I've actually cleaned up a lot. And now I'm finally getting back into getting super shredded. And I was like, you know what? I can't have Daryl be the only one who gets absolutely freaking shredded this year. So I was like, all right, you know what? Can't let my boy leave me behind. And then anytime, it's so funny though, you guys, I say this all the time. Relentless consistency is probably the most important compliment I can give to anybody. Period. If you are consistent, that is the highest honor that I can give you because it is something that I constantly aspire to. It's something that I'm naturally not. I am naturally not a consistent human being because consistency, in my opinion, people aren't born consistent. I think people are born flaky. Consistency is earned. That is a habit. That is forged in fire. So when I look at Marlon, I look at Daryl and the consistency that Daryl, you've been showing. Bro, I was annoyed when I was in Phoenix that I couldn't even hang out with you because every 5 minutes you had to go for a freaking 10-mile run. And then he never deviated from that path. So to these guys' point, like, yeah, you can slack off and make some money. And you can let your physical health deteriorate. But I promise you're gonna hit a wall. You will absolutely hit a wall. You will start making money. And then it's like, oh, cool, I want to start another business. You can't. Your body's totaled. You don't have the bandwidth physically in energy stores to even have the thought process of coming up with a new business model. Then you want to brand, and then you want to get on stages, and you want to inspire people. You can't do that if you're gassing because you were on a 15-hour plane ride, and then you had to go into work meetings. Guys, been there, been feeling the effects of not being in shape this entire year. We're done with that shit. Marlon, thank you for being an amazing role model of being relentless. You're absolutely right.
Bro, and I gotta be honest, it came from Alejandro. I say this all the time. This is the importance of the company you keep. This is the importance of the campfire. And this is why I say, if you got garbage friends, you need to drop them. Stop holding on to people that are not serving you because you're actually doing them a disservice by staying in their life and allowing them to stay in your life. You're holding them back just as much as they're holding you back. Alejandro came over to Arizona last year. He stayed at the house. And I remembered that first night that you were there, I'm getting ready to go to my room. And I'm just like, yo, what is this? I had a weird feeling. I'm very in tune with like just energy. I'm the type of guy, like if I'm walking down a block and I get a sense, I'm like, I'm not going down that block. I can feel that something's about to happen. So I'm in the house and I'm like, what is this feeling? Like, yo, why do I feel so alert right now? I feel so focused. I feel like I can go and like find the cure to cancer right now. Like my brain was so sharp. And I'm like, yo, it's Alejandro. Alejandro is the only thing different in this house right now. I'm feeling this guy's energy. He's so focused that it was breeding focus out of me. It was literally pulling it out of me. And this is interesting because this is the premise of Mindset Manor, by the way. This entire house was purely to create an environment of focus. That's why I'm always asking Daryl. I'm always asking Caroline, like, yo, what are you guys working on? Where are you at? I'm always wanting to see that we're focused, that we're intentional. So keeping the right people around you is going to be critical. Something I wish I learned younger. If you guys are listening, right, I'm dropping some important steps, right? The first thing was get your fitness in check. Get your health in check. That's number one. Number two, get your diet in check. Start paying attention to your macros. Start consuming high protein. Stop consuming so many carbs. Stop consuming so much additional fat. Not no fat, but you need to understand what your body actually needs. From there, start paying attention. Start auditing your energy, auditing who you're allowing in your space, auditing who's making your energy go up, who's making it come down. The people that are pulling your energy down, cut them out. If you don't want to cut them out and you're going to complain about them, stop talking to me, because I don't give a damn. I don't give a rat's ass about your friend that sucks that you keep hanging out with. After the first time you come to me with that problem and that issue and that person, and this is a recurring challenge and you're not letting them go, you're not releasing them so that you can get better people in your life, you and I are done talking. From there, as an individual, and I'm going to say that I'm really talking to the men right now. So ladies, you can pay attention to this, but this one's really geared at the men. You need to become men of principle. Create your principles. What do you stand for? What are the rules that govern your life? If you don't know what your principles are, how can I trust you? If you don't know what your line in the sand is, how can anybody trust you? Hell, even the mafia, the way these guys were able to work together was, they weren't doing right, but they had principles. So they had a code. They had a code that they lived by. Knights had a code that they lived by. When you go into the military, they have codes that they live by. What are your codes? What do you live by? If you don't have principles, you need to go get them. You need to write them down. Right? Like every week, I ask my people in my house, I ask them, what are your principles? Every week, we review our principles. Right? Like I have the principle of sowing and reaping. I know that you get out of life what you put in. You sow bad, you get bad. You sow good, you get good. And time is the determining factor. That's a principle I live by. That's a principle that will be passed on to my children and their children and their children's children. As men, you need to know what you stand for. You should be able to rattle off your principles when someone asks you. You should be able to say, hold up, wait, let me go. It's in my notebook. Let me go pull it up for you. Thank you for asking me to review it. You shouldn't be embarrassed because someone asked you, because if you're embarrassed, it means you don't have it. And then the final thing here is you need to organize your sleep. You need to prioritize your sleep. You need to prioritize your rest. See, the grind culture is cool for an Instagram post. The grind culture is cool for a YouTube story. But from a practical standpoint, it's really not that cool. When you show up to your team tired, hungover, exhausted, and you can't problem solve, that's not cool. You're letting people down. When you show up to your family tired and exhausted because instead of going to sleep, you decided to stay up on Instagram and scroll and look at hot girls all night. You decided to watch car videos all night. I love anime. You decide to stay up and watch anime. Guys, you sacrifice the things that you want to do right now so that you can do the things that you need to do better at a higher level. If you're not willing to do that, you don't get to complain. Sleep is critical. Like, I don't even joke around about it anymore. Sleep, like, me and Alejandro have had this conversation. Like, having a bedtime is important. Having a wake-up time is important. Being intentional with your time is important. The same way you spend your money, how are you spending your time? Because how you do one thing is how you do everything. If you're wasting your time, I can guarantee you, you're probably wasting your money, you're wasting your energy, and you're blowing relationships. We need to lock these things in ASAP. So I'm going to step off this horse, but I want you guys, like, again, this video, to be honest, this video is for my son who's not even born yet. This is for my grandkids who aren't even born yet. I want them coming back and I want them watching this video and be like, yo, damn, Grandpa was getting at it. I can see when Grandpa made that shift. I can see when Grandpa made up his mind to be the man that he is, the man that we've seen this whole time. That's what I want them to see. I want them to see that it wasn't an overnight situation, that if it's not turning on for them yet, it's because they haven't put in the effort yet. That if you want something, you show up over and over and over for it. That once you make up your mind, there's nothing more powerful than a made-up mind. Nothing more powerful than a made-up mind. So let me bring it back now because I saw some questions in the chat. I want to make sure that we get to. But before we do that, I want to pass the mic. You guys have anything you want to add to this?
Man, this is amazing, bro. Love when we're talking about these energy, talking about how to improve yourself, get yourself out of the wrong circle. I can tell you guys right now that is really hard to leave your friends, like Marlon's saying. Put yourself in a better circle. But it's also hard to being average and being broke. So you have to choose your heart. And I know that's said over and over, but it's really true. You got to decide, which difficult route do I want to take? Do I want to take the difficulty where I have no friends for a little while and I have to find myself and it's difficult, to reinvent myself and find my true self? Or do I just stay being average, being broke, probably can't provide for no more than a family of four? You just got to be really careful and decide internally like what you truly want. And only you know the answer to that. No one else can answer it for you. So that's all I have to add. Other than that, Marlon, yeah, you killed it, brother.
Bro, freaking love that, man. I appreciate that. Right? Choose your heart. Embrace the suck and choose your heart. So, I want to make sure we don't gloss over this because my man Disc King said, do you own, this is going back to what we were talking about in the business plan. He said, do all you guys own a subject to property in your portfolio? I think at this point, all of us own subject to property.
I think all of mine are subject to. Well,
Yeah.
no, well, only one is owner finance.
Yeah. I all of mine are creative, so I don't have a single conventional buy in mine.
Same.
Most of mine are actually conventional, and I own currently 2 subject tos.
Heathen for the heathen.
Get out of here. F out of here, man. All my deals made us money. I got paid to buy my deals.
Yeah.
So,
I like your message. I like your message for all jokes aside. I really do like your message. Like you're talking to your grandkids. I'm legit gonna record a video for like my future kids, future grandson. I really love that message, bro. That I like what you was saying. That I was like visioning like myself doing a video and like my grandkids looking at that. That's I love that, bro. Thank you for sharing that.
And I'm gonna be interviewing. I got on August 20th. I'm interviewing Trevor Mosh, the owner of Carrot.com. All right, super OG in the real estate space. And the reason I'm interviewing him, one, I grew up when I got into real estate. I came up on his podcast. I came up on the gems he was dropping, and I really appreciated it. And I got the opportunity to meet him last month, about a month and a half ago. And he said something that sparked an amazing idea that I want to share here with you all. He says, imagine that you had 24 hours left to live. What would you do with that 24 hours, right? He says, odds are it's not, I'm going to go do that wholesale deal. I'm not going to do that real estate deal. You're going to probably go spend time with the people that you care about. And odds are some of those people might be far away from you. So you might not even be able to drive or fly to them in time. You might just have to pick up the phone and call them. He says, whoever came to your mind, well, shit, why don't you give them a call today? Why don't you just reach out and give them a quick call? And he said one day those people might not be around. And it sparked an idea that, one day my parents might not be around. And what if my kids don't get to meet my parents, or, they just don't get to know them the way that I got to know them? Why don't I interview my mom? Why don't I interview my dad for my kids and for the grandkids? Like, how cool would it be if when you were 7 years old, your parents said like, hey, Alejandro, here's your great grandfather, and he's just going to share with you what his life was like from his perspective. How freaking cool would that be? So it's something to think about. We all have time with our parents right now. I have a friend right now who, unfortunately, her father was diagnosed with pretty severe and terminal cancer, and they expect he has about a year left. And she doesn't have kids yet, and one day she will. And they're not going to get to meet their grandfather. So while we have them, this is a cool opportunity. We all have these cool cell phones and these cool devices. We should look at interviewing our family, the ones that mean something to us. All right, and let's get this final question. This King says, what additional steps do you do to not get the due on sale clause? That's for you, Alejandro.
Man, I'll say this right now. That's like saying, what steps do you take to not get in a car accident? That's really what it sounds like. And I say this because even Pacers had an interview, well, a podcast with Scott Horns, who done tens, like I think he just threw out a number like 10,000 transactions, and maybe what was it, like 5 do on sell clause came out. I think out of 10,000, 5 transaction came out. So just keep in mind that the mortgages have the option to call the due on sell clause, right? It's not mandatory. It's not like as soon as a D transfer, hey, I'm coming after you, the due on sell clause. That's the boogeyman. What I can tell you, just make your payments. Make sure you still have insurance. Make sure you file the insurance properly. I would get someone that's well educated and someone that's already done a insurance swap for sub twos correctly. I always, anytime I don't know something, I go hire the professional. I go hire someone, that has the expertise in that department. I do not do things on my own just to quote unquote save me money, because I can assure you probably spend a lot more money if the due on sell clause does happen to you because of your mistakes. So go hire the experts. That's what I recommend doing. But the steps I take, I just pay all the bills on time, and yeah, that's really about it. And if it does happen, there are steps that you can do to protect yourself. But just know it's really minimal. I hope that answers your questions.
Love it, man. Good answer. And then Ryan says, what would y'all recommend for a 19-year-old to start? I have no idea where to start, but I'll outwork anyone to get where I want to go. Y'all got any tips on where I can start?
Oh, you can text me. I got a position for you. I like that energy.
So I freaking love that. So that's what I would do. I would look to get on a team of a certified operator, right? Like I'd reach out to Alejandro. I'd reach out to Daryl. I'd reach out to Sam. I'd reach out to one of these guys that have an opening on their team and see if you can qualify, if you can get in there. Now, recognize you're going to have to prove yourself, right? Like when you get on, you're going to have to show up. You're going to have to be consistent. You're going to have to work, because so many people reach out and say, hey, like you got to understand this. A lot of people say, I will do anything. I will do anything. And they're willing to do anything for the first 48 hours. They're willing to do anything for the first week. They're willing to do anything until week 2 comes along and their friends invite them out for a weekend to go and party and go to an EDM concert. And if you're really about it, if you're seriously about it, then reach out to these guys. If you're not, please don't waste their time.
Hey, Ryan, I don't know what YouTube channel you're on, but you can text me. It's 770-380-9050. Please do not text me if it's not about doing business, please.
All right. So I love it. All right. If you missed that, go back and rewind it. Anything else here? I think we're good. I think we got all the questions answered, right? So guys, we're already a couple minutes over. We're going to wrap this up because this is our show for today. We will be back here next Tuesday. Who's running the show next Tuesday?
I actually have something I want to say real quick. SoCal fam, if you guys are in Southern California this Thursday, I'm going to be down there speaking on a dope stage with my brother Richard Knowles. So if you're going to be in SoCal, if you're near LA, I don't care if you're an hour away, make the drive, come see me. We're going to give away a ton of secrets on how I used proximity podcasting, how I used a lot of free tricks to get around a bunch of basically people worth over 150 million, tons of them. We're going to give it all away. And on top of that, we're going to give away $1,000 to someone in the audience. So if you're in SoCal, come hang out.
When are you moving to the Mid-Coast, Sam?
Yeah, fast, man.
Dude, I don't know, man. If you keep putting up those Instagram stories of your dope place, man, I'm not gonna move to Dallas. I'm gonna move into your place. Like I'm gonna make you give me a room because your place is. I need a bat cave, honestly, at this point.
Let's go, Doug. I'll give you the master room, bro.
Yo, Loki, can we put your spot on short-term rental, man? We'll put your spot on Airbnb.
Dude, honestly, the listing would be stay at the bat. It would be called the Bat Cave in the listing. That's exactly what we'd call it. But Marlon, I think people need to pay their dues, brother.
Facts. So, guys, you already know what we ask for this show. We do not ask for money. We ask that if you're getting value from the show, and first of all, shout out to a lot of you because the show has been growing. I've been looking at the analytics. More of you are staying on and hanging out through the entire episode, which means you're getting value. If you're getting value, the way we ask you to tip, the way we ask you to pay is by hitting the like button. Also, I do see that some of you have been watching and the analytics show that you have not subscribed. Do me a favor, subscribe, because when you start to do this, if you're getting value, if you're staying and hanging out, the way YouTube works, YouTube analyzes who the viewers are. They pay attention to you and what you're doing and what you're watching, and they say, you know what? Dustin's getting a lot of value. Ryan's getting a lot of value. Joel's getting a lot of value from this. What we're going to do is we're going to find more people like this person, and we're going to bring this valuable information, this valuable content to them. So we want to see this channel grow. We want to help as many people as we possibly can because you guys know, at least you know with me, I offer coaching. I do paid coaching. I have clients that pay me $5,000, $8,000, $10,000 for my time. And when I come on this show, you guys get my time for free. You get Sam Singh, who can be charging over $20,000 per person. You're getting his time for free. You got Daryl, who literally gave you a masterclass that he's been able to earn over $60,000 with in a single weekend. You got him giving it to you for free. And you got Alejandro. You literally got Bruce Wayne rolling out on you. Bruce Wayne kicking it with you on a Tuesday night. So all that to say, what we ask is hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and turn on the notification so that next Tuesday when we're back here, when we're live, you are aware, you're here, and you're bringing some good freaking energy. So on that note, if you guys don't have anything else, we're good to sign off tonight.
That's it.
I was waiting for someone to drop something cool. I was waiting for someone to say something.